This budget was presented in quite a difficult macroeconomic situation. Essentially, the government's finances have weakened fairly considerably over the last year. At the same time, investment growth and overall economic growth has slowed down, and inflation has remained high, only coming down in the last couple of months. And I think expectations were fairly high, given the fact that even the RBI had mentioned in the last couple of monetary policy reviews that they would also be looking for a credible fiscal consolidation plan from the government. So having said that, I think that is one of the major expectations that we had, that the fiscal deficits that the government would announce would be realistic, rather than aiming at a very high level of fiscal consolidation, which then would prove more difficult to achieve. The finance minister has said that he would like to curtail subsidies below 2% of GDP. That may be a little difficult to do unless specifically for fuel subsidies, he hasn't talked about any revision in prices, and that is something perhaps that would be required to be able to ensure that subsidies are curtailed, given the fact that crude oil prices are fairly high right now. As compared to the rolling target, the fiscal deficit target which has been set is 5.1%, which is a lot higher. But there are definitely some positives in the budget which would help to achieve this target. Of course, one thing is that the indirect tax rates have been increased, for excise duty and service tax. And at the same time, the service tax net has been widened very considerably by the introduction of the negative list. So these are very major positives as far as supporting revenue buoyancy is concerned. And on the flip side, some of the other more aggressive assumptions possibly would be the disinvestment target. We still don't know whether that is something that the government would be able to achieve, and it would be linked to the market performance and the valuations that are able to be looked at. Also, the non-tax revenues through the telecom options again would depend on market conditions. So that again is something which it's difficult to say right now whether that is going to be realistic or not. Some measures have been introduced. We were not expecting any big bang kind of announcements from this budget. Some announcements have been made which would help in those particular sectors. Like, for example, one positive is the funds that have been allocated for bank recapitalization. That is something that was definitely required, and it would help ensure flow of credit to the productive sectors. Secondly, the target for award of highway projects has been increased to 8,800 kilometers from around 5,000 kilometers in 2010-11. So that again is a positive for that sector. Also, the measures for the power and coal sector, and also the reduction in the customs duty for coal and LNG, etc. Those would have some impact on the input costs for the power sector, which would overall help ease the supply bottlenecks which are there.